you know, movies or getting food in a nice restaurant or something. Okay, maybe not, but thank you for coming here anyway. I've been, my fourth book is coming out next year, and I'm going to read a couple of poems from it, but I'm also going to stay away from it because those of you who have published books and know what it's like when you're getting feedback from the publishing house and you have to keep going back and forth can probably understand that I'm a little sick of those right now. But I will get to a couple of poems from there later. I'm reading right now from my second book, Through the Stonecutter's Window. And I'm happy about this book because it's the only one that I wondered when I sent it out. Is anybody even going to know what the hell I was talking about? And when they wrote back, they knew exactly what I was going for. So if you got a book that you're worried about where it's going to go or thinking no one's going to get it, trust them, send it out. You never know. Messages from the ether. I'm sure you all remember the time when we all were paying for our text. Every text we got that we sent out and received, we got charged for it. I, at one time, was receiving from these texts from somebody, and I had no clue who it was. But I didn't say anything because whoever it was living this incredible life. And I chose to pay for the text just so that I could live vicariously through them for a while. Messages from the ether. Your first text put you into the camera, tracking Bokasha through love sickness, deep moist erotica. You leave no name, your number unrecognizable. Weeks later, I'm in City Lights, coaxing Jane Shore to raise the trapeze artist once more from concrete and straw. I read that you are hours away from winging above my head through fog and spring on your way to Hong Kong. I dream dragon smoke scripting my name against the flame red sky. A month later, man on wire traps you between two towers, glued to a wire swaying over a man-made chasm. I'm in bed, nursing a knee swollen around an ACL stretched to disbelief. You say Petite left you dizzy, mind spiraling unhinged above the rubble that will be decades later, dragging glass and ruin beneath autumn's indifference. 3 months pass before I ask who you are, careful of the fragility of names and faces made concrete, easily shattered. It's Eva, you reply, from Boston, from the Fog Museum, from theater and poetry. Eva, my friend, as I write this poem, Boston should be past the flowering season. Heat hovering over the chalks, dragonflies rustling. I imagine you sitting lotus style on the north bank, hair tied, a knot that trails down your back. You lean over your phone, concentrating on every letter and symbol before winging them to me across the ether. My third book of poetry is In the Room of Thirsts and Hungers. And if there's an analogy I can make, let me just say this. If you're writing poetry or writing any form, there's going to be one book that says exactly what you hope to say. And for me, this one is it. In 1927, Langston Hughes and Ernest Hemingway were friends, and they were living in Spain because they were both correspondents to the Spanish Civil War. And it's known that they were friends and rumored that they went to bullfights together. A bullfight, a revolution, and a Langston. Fondling a gin flask, Hemingway quips, we should live in the ring, not to die on our butts in the stands. The matador executes Veronica, wiping the brow of a 2-ton Christ. Today there are no nationalists, no loyalists, only Spaniards. Ernest believes the Negro will have his day, that all locked doors shatter their frames when kicked open. 3 barbed flags dive like swimmers into the bull. All poetry should be that direct, merciless to marrow. Tertia de muerte, the beast sways a cattail in a zephyr. I wonder if he can taste his ancestors' screams in the air. We could hollow his horns and trumpet 2 civil wars, America to Spain, his sacrifice uniting our struggles. There's a devil in the matador's patience. Sword and muleta, the cape red not for the bull, but to hide the blood. Every revolution needs a martyr. Mules pull the carcass round the ring like Hector's at Troy. Ernest says muleta and mulatto were meant to sound alike, that both carry a man's hard choices locked in skin. I am going to move to my 4th book for 1 poem and 1 flash fiction piece. I love flash fiction, so the second that I heard that I would get a chance, that you were going to be dealing with that later on, I figured I'd take the chance. And since I'm pretty sure I've got you muted, I don't think you can say anything about it. But the first piece I want to read is a love letter to Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, and it's from the Patriarchy. Dear Christine, what has happened to our women? I won't drag reason into your delusion. Okay, somehow I'm getting a feedback. I don't know how that just happened. Maybe it was me.
Scorpiana, you've got to mute.
Oh, thank you. Love letter to Dr. Ford from the Patriarchy. Dear Christine, what has happened to our women? I won't drag reason into your delusion, swatting at windmills with a broom. You testify as 1,000 naked cameras section you like a hog. In the 50s, we would have doused your furnace with Valium. My mother could watch hummingbirds for hours, the insides of her skull, Rorschach flashcards. But the pot roast was never late. Honey, I'm fighting for this country, cracking eagle eggs into frying pans to make us great again. Rebranding swastikas, painting the arms red-striped and blue-eyed. Hell, I'll reach my hand up Lady Liberty's copper skirt and goose the flames if I have to. And this is how you thank the architects of paradise. Be reasonable. Drag the viper from the cigar box. Patriotism is a horse losing your name in a bet. Open the gift box. Here's a charred chunk of greenwood, some faded California camp pictures. Remember how we tossed peanuts at Japanese in cages until laughter curved stitches in our kidneys? Slow your heart. Guzzle this Librium martini. Let's fold the top down, ride through the sunset like roaring Dale. We'll pitch tents in the Alamo. My guitar strung with real Mexican guts. I'm building 2 McDonald's for every crack in the wall. Christ, woman, have you ever felt safer? Take this Prozac lemon drop and voting sheets already filled out for you. Christen my yacht and we'll save money on fireworks. Shoot immigrants from cannons on the 4th. Finish the dishes and we'll have sex on the foreclosure papers that turn Harlem into a street mall. No, it won't be college fucking, but is it ever? Hush, Christine. Maybe you were assaulted, but bet dollars to donuts you enjoyed it. I think from time to time it pays to write from a viewpoint not your own, because it's important to be able to say, what is it like from their side? All right, the flash fiction piece, do I have time? Yes. guardians, and this is also in Everybody's Jonesing for Something. Grandpa Daniel was in his late 70s, yet still spry enough to climb the tree in our backyard for figs. He insisted that the only man ever born worth his salt was Martin Luther King Jr. I'd take a bullet for that man, yes I would, he said, raining figs down upon his grandson Michael, who raced around the tree beneath his grandpa's skinny legs, poking out of Bermuda shorts. Michael balanced a large wicker basket on his head, always a foot away from where the figs hit the ground. When they shot the Reverend King, Grandpa Daniel was true to his word. He lay down on his bed, deciding this was the bullet meant for him. Soon, he told his daughter-in-law, Carolyn, the good Reverend will wake up and I will be a hero. But days later, Grandpa Daniel was still alive and the Reverend was still very much dead. No less true to his word than he was before the announcement of the funeral, Grandpa decided that God hadn't switched him and the Reverend because Grandpa hadn't proven how serious he was. So, Daniel, who had survived 7 sit-ins, 6 police dog attacks, and 4 hosing downs with water he claimed was colder than Alaskan ice, dug a shallow grave in the backyard. He donned his second best dress suit, his best, he reasoned, he would wear at his funeral, and lay down in the grave. That night, it rained. Caroline, who had promised her late husband that she would look after his dad, put an umbrella over the head of the ditch. From his bedroom window, Michael could see his grandpa's feet sticking out from under his gray half dome of a promise, his wool pants sticking to his legs. On the day of the funeral, Caroline turned the volume of the old Zenith up loud enough to shake the windows. But really, she was turning it up loud enough to wake the not so dead. After a few minutes, the screen door creaked open and Grandpa shuffled in. His back was caked with mud, but Caroline didn't complain when he sat down on the couch between her and Michael. When they showed a close-up of King's face, still as dead as Grandpa was not, Daniel took first Michael's hand and then Caroline's. He was crying. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm sorry, I did everything I could." But he wasn't talking to his grandson or his daughter-in-law. He was looking at the TV. He was apologizing to everyone inside the glass. All right. Oh, I'm doing well. I'm going to end with 2 poems. The first poem in my first book and the next to last poem in it. I think a lot of poets, when they're writing their first book, and it's the way it was with me, they're writing almost a gateway book. It's the book and the set of poems that you feel you have to get out. Maybe they're the reason you started writing in the first place. And until you get this one out, there's too much inside you it's like that bottleneck at the doorway. You get these out and the rest of them come out. Back Through the Storm Door is the first poem in my book, Taproot. And I wrote it when I received the information that my brother was dying of AIDS, and realizing I had been estranged from the South for about 11 years and estranged from my brother a lot longer than that. Back through the storm door. I left the South broken, a busted wing and a crooked eye. Still, I wake mornings with the taste of honeysuckle on my tongue. The phone rings, voices weary with traveling, wires weighed down with crows and thick heat. I know it's the South calling me to christen the born or bury the dead. Lord, I'm still addicted to its touch. He doesn't have long. If you're going to come, it better be soon. In bed hours later, my mind still tallied to the phone's bad news. Weed, codeine, scotch. I've ingested enough fog and brain ash to black out the moon, but the crucible of the past is relentless, grinding behind eyelids. Memories spark wild along the nerve's telegraph. The lens focuses backwards and the mind grays decades. I dream my past, a fragmented play, spliced together with rawhide ties and silk thread. It grows claws and jumps the stage, a beast my hands don't know how to tame. There is no balm for the past dull ache. When the blue jay rolls up his song, the whole damn world spins down on me. Falling back through the door, I'm broken again. And I'm going to end with Pull. I look forward to hearing Janine speak. I've never had the pleasure of hearing her before, so this will be a treat to me. And thank you once again for inviting me to this reading. Pull. I am told it was moonlight that ripened your failing heart until it finally cracked, sent the clock hand spinning off your flesh. I was a coward, still 3,000 miles away, convincing myself that if I came at all, I could never catch the dying hour. Forgive me, brother. For decades, your name has stretched my tongue to breaking. But love and pain often anguish logic. Long ago, on a night like this one, I watched Uncle rocket a coyote skyward with a fistful of buckshot. It slammed to the ground twisted, skidding across the grass. Somehow it didn't know that it was dead. Front legs pawed the air as if leveled by nothing more than errant moonlight. Chicken feathers lined its muzzle. It mewed, eyes tunneling through me to the underbrush, where its mate stood, now crosshaired down Uncle's barrel, and already dead by every book and clock. Mesmerized, not knowing that in this world, every fool carries a twin heart. Bang! I shouted, and the underbrush went wild with the mates running. Still, if animals have souls, two died that night. Uncle cursed me under the killing sky. Why, boy? You know she'll hit the coop later. Why did you do that? This is my understanding of the fear and silence of these wounded nights. The moon snares in the sweet spot of the throat, and everything and everyone that lives on is trapped in love. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Indigo. Thank you so much for
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
participating with us in those fine poems. Much
Thank you.
appreciated, everyone. You have any engagements coming up that you'd like to share with the audience?
All my engagements are strictly, I've got deadlines. But those are good engagements too. So. I'm actually in Philadelphia right now. I fly back to Sacramento on Friday, so I'm looking forward to that.
Very good. Safe travel, safe trip.
Thank you.
We were afraid you're going to end up being a Sixer fan.
No, my allegiances lie not too far from me, though.
Folks, I'd like to welcome the people who have just come on to, if you want to participate in the open mic again, we'll do that while we continue to troubleshoot. And if there is somebody who would like to share a poem, go ahead and type your name in the chat, and we will return to you.